Alright, everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Twat Talk. I'm your host, Roscoe M, and today I'm going to talk about where the fuck have I been? So, last time I did one of these episodes, it's been a wee while. Last time I did one of these episodes, I was in the middle of working on my Resident Evil 2 review, which came out on the 8th of April. But I'd finished it round about the 3rd, I want to say. It just took a while to get the thumbnail back. That's something I want to mention. My friend Rama, thank you so much for making that art and also the art for my avatar on the podcast. The art is fucking incredible, and yeah, I thank you. I thank you very much for your amazing work and how quickly a turnaround you're able to do. It's fantastic quality. Thank you very much. But I want to talk about, so where the fuck have I been is a good question. Why have I not been making more podcast episodes? And that's simply because I have had a shit ton going on recently. So one of the things that happened recently was, of course, I was in the middle of working on my Resident Evil 2 review, so I was getting that done. I think when I recorded the podcast, I'd either just finished recording Leon B, or I was just about to go record it. But then I had problems with that, because the day after I got all the footage recorded, I got it all recorded on a Wednesday, and then I was at doing like a college placement on the Thursday, which is it's basically, you know, working, editing, shit like that. So that was all fine. I went in, did my editing, did what I had to, and then I didn't have anything else to do for the time that we were still there. So I thought, fuck it, I'll get this editing on this review done, or at least start it. So I managed to get it all done. I think I was working. While I was meant to be doing actual work, I got the editing all done and managed to complete the whole fucking review, the whole thing, in about 5 hours of editing, which is not that bad for one of my videos. It normally takes me a bit longer than 5 hours, but since it was a review and there's very minimal amount of editing, it's mainly just cutting up the footage to the script. It was a fairly quick turnaround. So I got that done, and then I watched it back and thought, fuck it, that is amazing. Just need to wait for the thumbnail art and I'll be fine. And while I'm at it, do you know what I could do since I have the final edit? I could go and delete all the footage that I don't need, that I kept in a folder. So I delete the whole folder that had the final edit in it as well, which meant that not only did I lose the final edit, but I lost all of the footage that I had used. So I lost all my Resident Evil 2 footage. I recorded some Resident Evil 3 and 4 footage. That was also gone. And every fucking edit I had made was basically gone. I still had the project file, which had the spine of what I'd created. And it still had all the pictures and everything, the sound effects and the audio was all there. But all of the video footage was gone, and my heart fucking sank. My heart completely sank at that moment. I was like, I did not just fucking do that. Like, I did not just delete not only my review, but the footage for that review. And the only thing I have now is the fractured remains of the video that I just fucking finished. So that absolutely fucking killed me. And I wanted to honestly just up and fucking give up, not do the video again. But I was also extremely happy with it. So said, you know what, fuck it, I have to do this again. I need to do it because I want to do this review. I've been doing it for ages. I've already got somebody working on thumbnail art. And I think that's what motivated me more, is that I had a friend working on art for the video that I knew I would want to use because it was looking incredible. All that I had to be doing was like the colouring in. So I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna keep going and finish this bastard video. So I went away that night, and recorded Clary again in about 3 hours. No, it was about 2.75 of an hour it took me to record it all. Did it in one night. Then the next day I recorded Leon B during the morning or something. Got it all done in 2.5 hours, which was absolutely fucking golden. Worked on the review and turned it around in about 2 days or something. Which, considering it had taken me a week before to gather all the footage and everything, I was absolutely fucking ecstatic that I turned it around that quickly and turned a really shit situation into, holy fuck, I have a new video again. And that was done by April 3rd, and then on the 8th I released it because I had the art and everything. I think I got the art on the 7th, and I was able to release it on the 8th, and I was so fucking happy that I managed to get it on the 8th, because that's another thing that happened while I've been gone. I turned 18. It's been fucking great. I turned 18 on the 8th of April this year, and and we celebrated later that weekend, because me and my stepdad's birthdays are basically back to back. So his is on the 7th, mine's on the 8th. So we celebrated his and mine at the weekend, because everybody was off work and everything, and we wouldn't be absolutely shattered, blah blah blah. So everything worked out fine. We just sat down, we had a few drinks. It was a good time. Really enjoyed it. It was a good laugh. So that's basically another thing that happened that kind of kept me away from like doing podcast episodes, because everything was around the house and everything. There was no free time basically to get a podcast episode done. So I basically just sat around, and then of course immediately afterwards I enjoyed doing the Resident Evil 2 review so much that I went, you know what? What if I went back and redid my review of the first game? So that's exactly what I fucking did. I went and recorded all the footage, and by the time this is going up, this will be going up on the Wednesday. It's coming out on Saturday. It's coming out on Saturday the 24th, I want to say. I'm just checking my calendar. Yes. Saturday the 24th is when my Resident Evil Remake review comes out. And shit, so I guess be excited for that. It was a really fun video, going back and replaying that game again. I love that game in bits. Sorry. So basically all of that has been kind of holding me back. I've been busy doing reviews, gathering the footage for them, scripting. Shite. Sorry. Sorry, my watch is fucking berating me. Yeah, sorry, that's something else. So I've been gathering footage and everything, scripting, editing, blah blah blah, these reviews. So I didn't really get a whole lot of time to sit down and do a podcast. Plus, the fact that everybody's always hanging about the house. So yeah, there was just no free time at all. But hopefully now I can get back to doing it a little bit more routinely. Sitting down, chatting a load of shite, bringing some people on to chat shite with me. Be a good laugh. So, that's another thing that I got for my birthday. I got an Apple Watch because I'd seen my mum using it and went and said, you know what, that'd actually be quite handy. So they were nice enough to buy one for me. Again, I thank them a hell of a lot for that. I'm very grateful for these things. Like, you see a lot of people, I've seen a lot of them anyway, that like they get something and then they brag about it as if they're not, like, as if it's something that they just should have anyway. It's like, no, you don't do that. So I like to think, and I've been told by family members that I'm very grateful with things that I get. I take care of them and shit like that. Because I understand the value that they have. Like, I understand that these things are not fucking cheap. And Apple products in general are not fucking cheap by any stretch of the imagination. And like I said, I thank my family so much for giving me everything that they've given me. like Apple products, PCs, consoles, games, all that kind of stuff. I thank them very, very dearly for all of these things that they get for me, because fuck knows I would not be in the situation I am right now without all of these things. I wouldn't have the software that I use. I wouldn't even have the fucking PC. I probably wouldn't even be doing this. Or if I was, I'd still be doing it off of an iPad, which, let's be honest, those were not exactly the great days of this channel. They were kind of shit. So, but yeah, that's basically what's been happening for probably the last few weeks since I did a podcast. But yeah, fucking hell. Basically, I've spent at least like half of April just not doing podcasts. I'm very sorry about that. I really do want to do this more, but also I find it difficult to come up with topics for talk about on podcasts, because I'm a bit of a boring cunt. I'll be honest. Not a lot really happens to me. And I haven't had like a lot of stories that I could tell from pre-COVID, because I'm not really the type of person that goes out much, so I don't really have that many. I don't have outrageous tales of like all the mad shit that goes on around me. I just don't have that. So yeah, basically I'm just a really boring cunt. is what I'm saying there. So, but yeah, something I do want to talk about is Resident Evil, I guess. I'll talk about that because fuck knows I could talk about that series for days. I probably will have talked about that series for way too long. So, as of recording this, like I said, I've finished reviewing the first 3 game remakes, and I'm currently in the process of starting playing the originals of those games, and I'm also in the process of continuing forward with the series. So I'm currently in the process of trying to play the first game original, then I'll be trying to play like 2 and 3 original. Probably they'll probably take me a while, because just the method, just the older games will probably take me a bit longer. And then I managed to get, I posted this on Instagram, the day I'm recording this. So I managed to get Resident Evil 5 and 6 for quite cheap, and I've not played anything past the opening hours of 4. And I guess what my question would be is, like, if I'm going to play 5 and 6, do I need to play 4 beforehand? Like, is it vital I play it, or can I jump between them? I know that Resident Evil 5 takes place like 10 years after 4, but I don't know if playing 4 would be beneficial. I expect it would be, and I'm probably going to do it like that anyway, but, it would just be helpful, I guess, to know if playing 4 is vital to the experience of 5 and 6, because I'm curious to try them out for a couple of different reasons, because they seem to be, from what I can tell, the most hated games in the entire series, maybe apart from, like shitty knockoff games, like Umbrella Corps. Isn't that one of them that was like a shitty multiplayer? Capcom tried to make like a competitive shooter out of Resident Evil, which is like, how the fuck do you even do that? How do you make a competitive shooter out of what is originally a survival horror? Like, it just does not fucking work. The gameplay of Resident Evil does not fit with a competitive shooter along the veins of, like, Siege or Counter-Strike or Overwatch, that kind of shit. So, saying that, it was fairly new. Like, that whole scene was kind of new at the time, I guess. So, but still, Capcom, just stay the fuck out. Don't try and jump into the competitive shooter scene just because you think, oh, fuck it, we can do whatever we want with Resident Evil. Weirdest part was, they just called the game Umbrella Corps. It's not even called, like, Resident Evil Umbrella Corps. So, it's a really fucking weird game because they tried to make it not seem like a Resident Evil game, despite it being set in the universe. like using the characters and locations of Resident Evil. It's like a really weird, it's like a really weird thing that Capcom tried to do, where they tried to say as if like, no, this isn't a Resident Evil game, despite using absolutely everything from the entire series that they could. It's like, Capcom, for fuck's sake, just call it a Resident Evil game. You just don't want to piss off the fan base more than you already did by releasing what, I guess, like I said, most people consider like the worst fucking games in the series, and the whole series is kind of going a bit downhill. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people that criticise 6 as the worst in the series, but I'll be interested to see my opinion on it, because bear in mind, I'm coming in retroactively, I guess. So I didn't play, the originals from the 90s. Like, I didn't grow up on the fixed camera survival horrors, then play 4 when it was new, then play 5 and 6 afterwards, which are seen to be like shittier imitations of 4. Like, I didn't do that. I played 3 remake, 1 remake, 2 remake, and then I've moved on to the rest of the series. So it'll be interesting to see if I like 6 more, because one of the games that I feel has the highest amount of contention in the series is Resident Evil 0, and I've seen so many people say that it's one of the best in the series, and I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree with Resident Evil 0 being the best in the series. In fact, it's my least favourite, and it's the only Resident Evil game that I've ever refunded. It's the only Resident Evil game where I didn't even see it the whole way through. After I finished the train, I went, nope, fuck this game. There's an entire video. The stream's still there on my channel. The stream is there for people to see. It's like an hour and a half, and at the end I just go, I'm sorry, I can't fucking do this. This is bullshit. I hate this game. It's shite. I'm leaving it, essentially. And like I said, but a lot of people seem to like it, despite not many people enjoying it at the time. And it's the same thing now, like, people hated Resident Evil 6, but now I've seen a couple more people come around and be like, it's not actually that bad of a game. Maybe it's a shit Resident Evil game, but it's not a bad game in its own right. Which I've found a lot of people say now about certain Resident Evil games, is that it's not a bad game, it's a bad Resident Evil game. And I think that might be what a lot of people think in terms of 6 now, looking back at it and not being in the thick of it, coming off the heels of what people consider the peak, which is, half of the fan base considers the peak, which is 4, then a shittier version with 5, and then just it going into full-on action with 6. Because 4 and 5, 4 especially, from what I've played at least, still does try and keep some of the survival horror stuff in there. Like, you do have a limited inventory, healing items aren't all over the fucking shop, things like that. But it does lean more towards action, I've noticed, with a lot more combat encounters, like kind of back to back, and shit like that. But hey, I'm still playing through Resident Evil 4, and I haven't finished it yet. So please no spoilers under the comments here. Why am I saying please no spoilers? I've watched so many fucking reviews of this game that I already know some of the shit that goes on in the story. But I guess I just don't want, like, intricate details spoiled for me, is essentially what I'm saying. But yeah, talking more about the Resident Evil series, it's a really weird series, because it's constantly up and down in quality. Like, people say that Resident Evil 1 was absolutely amazing. I think it's aged a little, but it's still a playable and decent game. I talk about this a little bit in my remake review. Then you get Resident Evil 2 original, which people say, like, yeah, it's possibly like the peak of the series, depending on where you fall, whether it's Resident Evil 4 you think is the best, and if you don't like Resident Evil 4, then typically you're going to find that it's Resident Evil 2 they say is the peak. So it's either the peak or it's the second best, depending on your opinion. Resident Evil 3 is a kind of weird oddball of the series, where it's kind of like, I mean, it was originally a spin-off, but now it's a mainline game. It's got some interesting mechanics, but it just feels a little bit off sometimes. Then you get Code Veronica, which again kind of falls into that weird category, because it was on the Dreamcast, but it was the next mainline entry before 3 got promoted to mainline. But it was on the Dreamcast, and it's got some really weird designs, like weird design choices in it that don't really entirely fit with the original Resident Evils, but they still, kinda work. It's a weird kind of mishmash of like styles that don't always work together, but it still comes out as what most people consider a decent enough game. Resident Evil 4, which is the divisive one of the series, where it's kind of like Marmite, either love it or you fucking despise it. I'm in the category right now where I don't necessarily love it, but I don't hate it. I'm a bit neutral just now, but maybe that will change the farther I get into the game. Resident Evil 5, a lot of people just consider a shittier imitation of Resident Evil 4's style of gameplay, and also the fact that Chris Redfield punches a fucking boulder, which will never not be funny to me. Oh shit, I just fucking missed like the whole period right before Resident Evil 4 came out, where he had Resident Evil Remake, where everyone just went, holy fuck, this is amazing. Like, this is absolutely gold. This is like possible, peak of the entire fucking franchise right here. Resident Evil 0, which a lot of people didn't really like at the time, but a lot of people seem to go back to now and think it's alright. I still think it's a ton of shit. Despite absolutely loving the remake, I don't enjoy Resident Evil 0. But then you get to Resident Evil 6 when it basically just goes into action, and basically everybody in the franchise at that point just went, this is shite. Like, this is utter pish. Why the fuck have Capcom made this? Sort yourself out. And then, there's some games in between. There's like, there's Operation Raccoon City, there's the if I could talk, that'd be great. The Revelations games, which I've heard are not too bad. They kind of mix, like the survival horror of the first games with the perspective of, Resident Evil 4, but they do it better, apparently. Like, it's definitely survival horror, and it's not really an action game. I don't know about the second one. You get a bunch of the spin-off games at this point, like, you get like on-rail shooters, you get like a shit ton of other games, like the Outbreak one, which was a multiplayer version, which actually doesn't sound all that bad, to be honest. Like, I've seen a video about it, and it seems pretty fun. Who knows, I might be able to get that working at some point, and if I can find a way to work the multiplayer, I can fucking try that. Or even just do it solo, who knows. What else is there? Then after that, there's a bit of a hiatus of the series. People just kind of go, fuck, I guess it must be, kind of dead now. They're just releasing shitty game after shitty game, try to keep the series alive. And then you get Resident Evil 7, and everybody immediately goes, holy shit, what the fuck? Because it brings back, I would say, not necessarily complete survival horror, but definitely more horror back into the series, and goes, fuck you, this isn't an action game anymore. Or it has like sections of action for like boss fights, which the originals had as well. And then you go straight back into that spooky as fuck scenes when you're exploding the house and everything. I haven't played it because the game scares the absolute shit out of me. So I've not played it yet because I can't handle horror games, and I probably won't. And then now you've got the 2 remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3, which most people seem to love 2's remake, and they just kind of tolerate 3's remake and just kind of accept the fact that it exists. There's apparently a 4 remake in the works, which I've not really heard anything about. Just a few vague articles, suggesting what it could be. Or that it's even just in development. A couple articles suggesting, they could be working on a 4 remake. And now we've got Village coming out next month, I think. Yeah, 7th of May. Yeah, 7th of May is when Village is coming out, and I'm probably not going to play it, mainly because I think it's a bit steeply priced, and also the fact that I haven't played 7, so the story wouldn't really hit with me because it's the same characters carried over. But holy shit, the game looks interesting. So if I don't play it, I'll probably watch it. On YouTube. I'll probably just do that. So yeah, that is essentially your kind of up and down quality of the Resident Evil series, which is like odd. It's just really weird. I've never seen a series fluctuate so much in quality. Because normally a series is either, kind of rough beginnings, it gets better as it goes on, or it's got a great beginning, gets more shit as it goes on. And Resident Evil would seem to fall into that second category of great first entries and more shit as it goes on, but then it comes back with a good entry, and then it maybe starts to get a bit more shit, and then it comes back again. And I don't know, it's really fucking weird that Capcom can't seem to just find a stable place for this series to sit. But then again, maybe if they did find a stable place for the series to sit, we'd get bored of it because they're no longer like experimenting with it. So honestly, who the fuck knows what the future of the Resident Evil series holds? Who the fuck knows what that has in store for us? But honestly, I'm excited to see where it goes and everything. Like, I'm really excited for it. Just looking at my notes here to look at some of the stuff that I've taken notes of for solo episodes. I do have a question here that says, what's your first reaction when your friend is upset? Do you try to solve your problem or comfort them? So that's an interesting topic, actually, because I feel, in my opinion, different genders do it better, right? Each part of it, and they think slightly differently about it. So the way that I've heard a lot of people describe it is that, now this isn't me trying to stereotype or anything here, this is just off of hearsay, right? And this is generally what's accepted as, yeah, sounds about right, is that men are more logical thinkers and women are more emotional thinkers. Now, that's not me saying that women can't be logical and that men can't be emotional. That is me saying the strength of each one. Women are much better at dealing with and handling emotion-heavy situations, whereas guys are maybe a bit better when emotion isn't as involved and work more off of a simple logic to it. This is just also my experience of it. If you have a different experience, please be free to let me know. But this is generally what seems to be the case among the genders. So, the way that I would describe myself is I'm not the most masculine motherfucker, despite how I may sound. Nah, that's a total fucking lie. I sound like a bitch. So, sorry, I make myself laugh. So, I'm not the most masculine person out there. In fact, I'm probably a fair bit more feminine than some would expect. Because I've heard some friends talk about, like, when they first met me, they thought I was going to be like a total dick. And one of those kind of like, oi, kind of lads. But nope, that's not me. I'm a lot more feminine. I put that down to being raised the majority of the time by my mother. That I'm more in touch, I would say, with my feminine side. And shit like that. So, the way that I work it is that I will comfort someone first, but if they ask for a solution, I will offer it to them. So I do try and comfort them, but I'm not great at it. I try, but like I said, I'm not overly fantastic at dealing with emotional situations, and that's probably the masculine part in me, thinking logic brain rather than emotional brain, but who knows. But yeah, it's essentially, I comfort someone first and foremost, because that's what I'd want someone to do for me. I'd want them to try and comfort me, and then try and offer a solution, if asked for. Or even if they don't ask, I will say, or I'll ask them, do you want my opinion on what I would do in this situation? But I do always say to people, look, this is just what I would do. I don't have all the knowledge that you do necessarily. You're not the same person as me. I can be a bit more blunt at times, whereas some people, just can't do that. And I perfectly understand that. I get it. That not everyone can be as a blunt cunt as I am. I'm using that word a lot this podcast. Fucking great. Great word. Sorry, tangent, but great. I love the word cunt. It's amazing. A lot of Americans don't seem to like it. Like, they have a massive problem with it. They view it as, like, being above fuck or anything. But, nah, I think it's good. Plus, here in Scotland, you can use that as, like, a term for just people. So, like, instead of saying, hey, that guy over there, you say that cunt over there. But it's not insulting them. It's just the word that we use for person. We use the word cunt in exchange. Honestly, if I say that anymore, the video version of this on YouTube is probably going to get fucking age restricted. I'm surprised I don't get age restricted with the amount of swearing that comes up in my videos, and especially these podcasts. I'm surprised they don't get age restricted to fuck. But anyway, yeah, I try and comfort people first, and then offer a solution to the problem if I can see one. If I can't see one, I just tell them flat out, like, look, I don't know. I don't know what I would do here. Like, cause, yeah, I just don't. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of that one. That question answered. Do have another question. How would you describe yourself? Worst and best qualities. So this can be a lot of my best qualities, quote unquote. You could also consider worse qualities in me as well. So how would I describe myself? Well, my entire kind of brand of the channel basically says that I'm a twat, right? That's how I would describe myself if it had to be one word. But I do like to describe... I would describe myself as someone who always wants to see others happy, but never necessarily is always happy themselves. Like, I try and make other people happy, sometimes to the detriment of my own happiness or sanity or whatever the fuck. That's probably one of the things I would describe myself. But again, that could be a worst and best quality, because I do always try and make sure that people are comfortable and that people are having a good time and they're enjoying themselves. But a lot of the time that can come to the detriment of me. So then I fucking hate... So I'm not having a good time because I'm making sure that everyone else is having, like, fun. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. And there's probably quite a few people that would describe themselves the same way. Like, you're always working to make sure that others are happy to the detriment of your own happiness. It can be a massive problem. But yeah, probably... Another thing that I would probably consider a bad quality, I don't see it as bad, personally, but it has got me into a few situations. And I don't know if I've talked about it before, maybe I have, but essentially, when I care about people, it's quite intense. It can be a very intense amount of care that some people have described. It would arrive especially in, like, relationships. Which people could describe as clingy or needy. I describe it as a bit needy, yes. Like, I need reassurance, I need attention, I need someone to tell me that, like, yes, I still like you. I think I've said this before, I could be going out with someone for years, and even years in, still be asking them, like, do you still like me? Like, do you hate me yet? And they're just like, no, for fuck's sake. But, so that could be described as a bad quality, that I could be needy. But again, that could be a good quality in someone's eyes. I don't know, it's it's difficult to discern that line, because I don't see it as too bad, but other people may see it as like, nah, that's like a deal breaker for me. But talking about that, I care quite intensely for the people I do care about. So what about the people that I don't give a shit about? I really don't give a flying fuck about those people. And it's a weird thing that I work off of, that like, if you care about my feelings, then I'll care about yours. The second that you don't give a shit about how I feel, I don't give a fuck about you, essentially. And like I said, that's got me into a few situations where I've said some really horrible, like, shit to people because I realised, like, oh, they don't really give a fuck about me. So why should I give a shit about them? You know, one of those kind of things. And it's been, like, really... I've said really bad shit, essentially, to people. You know, like, that's made them cry and all that, because they've pissed me off to a degree where I no longer care. And I can't just snap. But yeah, so that's probably what I consider a bad quality. I have a really short fuse as well, which leads to me snapping with not a whole lot having to be said. So yeah, that's probably a part of it. And what have people around you described as your worst and best qualities? So I think I've kind of covered that here, that other people have given their opinions on kind of who I am as a person. But one thing I will say is that you should not base who you are on what other people think. So if someone tells you that you are this, you're not necessarily that. Someone tells you that you're a prick, you're not necessarily a prick, unless you've done something that really does make you a prick. So... God. So, yeah, don't base who you are on what other people tell you you are. You have to find out for yourself who you are. What makes you happy? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you get out of bed? And once you find that, you tend to not really care what anyone else says about you, because you know yourself better than anyone else. There we go. There's my fucking inspiring quote for the day. You know yourself better than anyone else, and only you can make a judgment on who you are, because you're the only one that knows all of it. You're the only one that knows everything about yourself. So, yeah, there's my words of wisdom for the day. But I think I'll call that there, because I'm slowly running out of things to talk about. You see what I mean? I'm boring as fuck. I need someone else here for the next episode. Too many solo episodes and I'll drive myself up the fucking wall. But yeah, I guess I'll leave this episode here. If you're on Spotify, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow the podcast if you haven't already. It would really help me out a lot, and I appreciate it a shit ton. And also, everyone on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, join my Discord, and follow me on Instagram. Links are all in the description, baby. And for everyone on Spotify, you can go find my YouTube channel by typing in Roscoe M Studios on YouTube, and you will find all of the podcast episodes, along with quite a few extra videos that I've spoken about in this podcast and more. But I would like to thank you all for sitting around and listening to me for nearly 40 minutes. You could have done so much more with that time. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.